Hello, friends. Have you ever thought about designing something new on your own? If the answer is yes, then this is orientation program for you only, which is orientation to the design thinking. Hi, friends. I am Dhaval Vora from Electrical Engineering Department at my university. As you can see, we are going to understand the orientation to design thinking and basic elements and practices in design thinking we are going to talk about. So, in that particular unit, let us talk about understanding essential elements in design thinking. So, this is what the outline. So, we'll start with empathy and then we'll go towards ethnography, divergent thinking, convergent thinking, visual thinking, prototyping, and finally, validation. What is empathy? So, as the definition is given over here, ability to understand and share the feelings of another. See, when we want to find out a solution, then we have to first analyze the problem. Problem of society, or problem of a person, problem of a company. So for that, we have to go through the empathy part. So of course, we need to observe the person or the company that what problems are being faced by the same. So what is empathy? Empathy in this context refers to what? To imagining the world from the perspective of multiple stakeholders and prioritizing the latent needs of the people. So the core function of the designer is in this phase is what? To build empathy for their end users. So if the end users are in some problem, then obviously we need to solve the problem. uh, by solving the problem, we can have one solution which may or may not be concrete, so we need to work upon that. It is a deep human focus to gain insight which may reveal new and unexplored ways of seeing and causes of action to follow in bringing about preferred situations for business and society. So it may happen that sometimes to find out solution is very difficult, so we need to uh, dive deep inside the concept and we need to find out a typical solution so that we can solve the problems of the stakeholders or maybe business or maybe society. It involves what? Reframing the perceived problem or challenge at hand and gaining perspectives which allows a more holistic look at the path towards this preferred situation. So perceive means to notice or realize something. So we need to realize the problem first and then we need to generate the solution. Rather, I would say we have to reframe first the you can say the situation, or according to that we need to find out the solution, and then we can go further by discussing the same with other stakeholders or maybe asking some questions to them. And finally, as a whole we need to find out certain kind of solution, because it should be holistic approach. When I say holistic means what? It can be considered as whole thing rather than just collection of parts. Then it encourages collaborative multidisciplinary teamwork to leverage the skills, personalities, and thinking styles of men in order to solve multifaceted problems. So uh, see, when I say collaborative or multidisciplinary means what? One may have the knowledge of a particular field, so he or she has to expand, or you can say stretch the boundaries, and he or she has to go to some other disciplines also, and he or she has to do collaborations. So a teamwork is required obviously. And when I say leveraging, so here leverage means what? You need to do effort. Due to that, you can just influence the people with the help of your solutions. So you have to influence the people and get the results what you want for them. It initially employs divergent styles of thinking to explore as many possibilities, differing judgment, and creating an open ideation space to allow for the maximum numbers of ideas and points of view to surface. Uh, so divergent style of thinking means what, when you are going to find out the solution to the particular problem, at the time you can have multiple solutions, means you have to think about the multiple solutions. And at that time, just do not think about whether the solution will work or not. You just need to put all these solutions together, or you can say all the thoughts to get together on a table, and then you need to think over them that whether a solution is feasible or not. So it later employs convergent style of thinking, means what, once you try to identify the solution, means once you have put all the thoughts on the table, then you need to strike out uh, which is not applicable, okay, or you can say which is less applicable solution. So gradually you will come to a single solution. Okay, so that is what convergent thinking is. It engages in early exploration of selected ideas, rapidly modeling potential solutions to encourage learning while doing and allow for gaining additional insights into the viability of solutions before too much time or money has been spent. See, here you need to explore some idea, okay, and rapidly modeling them is what you need to, try to find out, or you can say you need to try to generate certain artifact. Okay, when I say artifact, is just a kind of very initial model. So to represent your idea to someone, you need something. So for that, what you need to do is you have to make one artifact or some model using some local material. Okay, so that what can happen, what you can do is you can make the person understand your idea, or you can convince the person with the help of your idea. For that, you need to have a model or an artifact. So uh, it tests the prototype, which survives the possesses further to remove any potential issues. So we need to test that prototype, because we have made the prototype, then we need to validate it also. So for that reason, we should gain, or we should ask for the feedbacks from different stakeholders or maybe different people, and according to that we need to test the prototype so that we can improve it later. So that is what the process we need to follow. uh, Here you can see it iterates through the various stages, revisiting empathetic frames of mind and then redefining the challenge as new knowledge. An insight is gained along the way and rolling towards points of clarity until a desirable, feasible, and viable solution emerges. So here, iteration means what? Once you go towards the thinking of the solution, after that, what you need to do is you have to take feedbacks of different stakeholders, and depending upon the feedbacks you received, you need to you know uh, revisit the empathetic frames, means whether the solution what you have thought about is the viable solution or feasible solution or not. And if it is not, then you need to rethink. Okay, and you need to reinvent and redefine, okay, the definitions what you have earlier made for the solution. So you need to redefine those definitions, so that will give you a new insight. Okay, and that will give you a kind of clarity, and you need to uh, keep doing this thing until you get some feasible solution and viable solution. So this is what empathy map looks like. So there are different branches. Here it is shown: uh, gain, then see, then hear, pain, say, think. So you need to think in different directions. Like you have to see, you have to listen to the stakeholders, then you have to think, you have to feel, you have to, you know, discuss, and you'll gain something out of it. So this is what the, you can say, process of empathy mapping. Let us go towards ethnography. It is the scientific description of people and cultures with their, you know, customs, habits, and mutual differences. So, what are the goals? You can say go native, in-depth understanding of culture, generate rich and detailed social account. So when I say go native, so you need to find out the native problems. So you have to go closer to the stakeholders, and you have to understand the culture of the stakeholders, and you have to, you know, you need to connect uh, through misconnect to them very strongly. So these are the goals of ethnography. What is the focus? So culture and values. So here, if I want, means I want to take an example of a nano car. Okay. So see, what was the empathy behind, can say, creating a new design of nano car, that a middle class family is not able to purchase a car worth maybe 5 lakhs. So keeping this idea in center, Tata has designed a model which was very cheap, and which can accommodate at least 4 members of a family. So a person can afford the car very easily, and can, you know, travel together with his family easily. So that was the idea in center, but the idea didn't work. So what was the problem behind that? The actual problem was, in this case, the ethnography part was missing. Means here in India, if you are not able to understand the feelings of the stakeholders, then you may fail. And that only happened in case of nano. So the culture was like, if you purchase nano car, then people will say like, he's poor, or maybe he comes from a middle class family. And, you know, to listen to this kind of words from somebody is not acceptable in Indian culture. So the ethnography part was missing. So this is the, we can say, holistic picture, I would say. So main technique is what participant observation. You need to create a strong relation with them, and you need to observe each and everything of the stakeholders. And yes, field work. So it should be holistic, as I said, then comparative, contextual. So, you know, you need to go deeper inside, and you have to understand the actual context. After that only, means looking at the, or you can say discussing this different you can say aspects, you can finally find out some concrete solution. Final product, in-depth description of group's life. So, you know, after observing all the things, and after creating a strong bond with them, you need to, you know, identify uh, the overall, you can say, life of the stakeholders or behavior of stakeholders. So you have to go very deeper inside, and you know, describe with the help of this deep knowledge, that what problems are being faced by them. Let us go towards divergent thinking, process of devising more than one solution for a problem statement. So here you generally do not follow only one solution. So what you are doing instead, you think different ways to solve the problem. Okay, so rather than going for a single solution, you generally go to different possibilities, I would say. Okay, so it refers to the thought process of generating creative solutions. And what are the main features? Let's have a look. It is a free flowing chain of ideas. Means what? See, when you start thinking about the solution to the particular problem, in divergent thinking there is no bar, so free flow. Okay, so it happens in a non-linear manner, that is, it does not follow any particular sequence of thinking. So there is no any sequence which will be followed in this kind of thinking. More ideas can emerge at the same time rather than one idea coming up only after the other has occurred. So yes, at the same time you may have maybe 10, 15, 20 ideas, and according to that you need to think uh, on different solutions. And see, it does not matter that the solution is can say feasible, viable, or maybe uh, even practical or not. Okay, it is just a flow of ideas. So non-linearity also means that multiple solutions are thought of and explored at the same time. This happens in a very short amount of time, and unexpected connections are developed between the ideas. So unexpected connections means what? Sometimes what happens that you start thinking in some direction, and since it is the free flow of ideas, sometimes the solution might be very different than initially what you would have thought about. So that is what the best part of divergent thinking. Let me just give an example of divergent thinking. Suppose earlier there was nothing like meals on petrol pump, but nowadays you can see subways on petrol pump, or maybe different food chains on petrol pump. So what was the basic idea behind that? Divergent thinking only. Okay, so due to this process, sometimes what happens that unexpected connections are developed. Okay, so see, these two things are really very different. That to pour petrol in your car and to have food, both things are very different. But then also someone has added those things together, and now we can see a whole food chain available on petrol pumps. It is not focused that whether a solution is possible, feasible, or viable, as I said earlier. So it just needs to bring ideas to the table, no matter how absurd they may sound. So obviously, if the idea is not at all logical or maybe sensible or practical, then also you need to put it on table, and accordingly you can go further by making connections, whether any connection uh, of two different ideas will work or not. This is called the process of divergent thinking, where a thinker is free to move or flow in any direction. So this is how you can describe divergent thinking. So divergent thinking is in center. So you can see here that it is just a kind of blast of ideas, and free flow of ideas, then non-linear thinking, multiple ideas, and unexpected connections. These are the features of divergent thinking. Next one is convergent thinking. What does it mean? Converse of divergent thinking. Okay, so convergence means, you can say, you need to go inside from outside. So rather than going for multiple solutions, you need to work upon a single solution. So convergent thinking is exactly opposite of what divergent thinking is. So the concept of convergent thinking requires the design thinker to go through all possible solutions thought during divergent thinking and come up with a correct solution. So during divergent thinking, we may have thought many things. Then we need to put all the things on table, and we need to think rigorously on each and every solution, and we can strike out the less possible solution. Okay, so ultimately you will come up with maybe 3 to 4 solutions, and again, uh, means furthermore you need to have, or you need to pick only one solution out of them. So convergent thinking is the type of thinking in which a thinker is generally supposed to come up with a single well-established best possible solution to a problem. So as we have already discussed that, different ideas we need to put on a table, and then we need to, think rigorously on a particular solution. So it is nothing but just to go on a particular path by applying certain logic. So that what we generally do in this kind of thinking. Convergent thinking requires speed, accuracy, logical reasoning, and techniques. So obviously it is not like divergent thinking. So it is just opposite to that, means it requires accuracy. So the result should be accurate, it should be logical one, and certain type of techniques should be followed, and it should be with a certain speed. Okay, because if you provide solution without this features, then what will happen? The stakeholders will not accept the solution, so it will be rejected, and you need to think again on the solutions you have provided earlier. Convergent thinking delivers the best and a concrete solution to a problem statement, taking into account all the factors and requirements specified in the problem statement. So the best and concrete solution will be given by this kind of thinking only. But at the same time, we need to think all the factors which we have already thought about. Aspects of convergent thinking. The principal aspect of convergent thinking is that it should help to arrive at a single best answer without any room for ambiguity. So here, meaning of ambiguity is what is the possibility of being understood in more than one way. So the same kind of solution can be understood in different ways. Means the solution is one only, but you may have different ways to understand the same. So that kind of ambiguity should not be there. Means when you have the solution, then the possibility of being understood the same should be one only. So it reduces the confusion. Why I'm saying this? Because if there is room for ambiguity, then what will happen? Two different persons may understand the concept differently. So that should not happen. Another important aspect of convergent thinking is that judgment is an important part of this process. So of course, judgment is an important part, because you need to take judgment, and according to that only you can achieve certain kind of solution, and there should not be any room for ambiguity. So it is possible with the help of right judgment only. Then divergent thinking requires thinkers to suspend judgment, but convergent thinking encourages thinkers to apply the power of judgment. So it is for sure, it is obvious that divergent thinking requires thinkers to suspend judgment. Means what? You should not be judgmental. Okay, so you need to suspend the judgment, but in case of convergent thinking, you can just concentrate on a single solution, single idea, and you need to go through a rigorous thinking process, and finally you can say very concrete solution will come up at the end of the divergent thinking. But at the same time, both types of thinkings are important. So we cannot say that you need to go through only convergent thinking and not divergent thinking. At earlier stage, you need to go through even divergent thinking, and at later stage you have to go through convergent thinking. So this is what the how we can picturize the convergent thinking, that so many facts are there, then you have to go through all the facts together, and you need to uh, find out a concrete solution. Here answer means solution, concrete solution out of all the facts. So ultimately what will happen that you will pour some water, you can say you are nourishing your mind, you are giving inputs to your mind, and finally one solution is coming out of your mind, and in the light of that particular solution what you have just uh, in, emerged, okay, you can go further and you can have the final product done. Next is visual thinking. Visual thinking is what it is communicating ideas to what is seen or experienced. So sometimes what happens that you need to visualize the things, means even if you have not made any artifact or maybe model or the final product, then also you need to have such kind of imagination of final product, that your final product should include this, your final product shape should be like this, its can say aesthetic look should be like this, uh, the final product's features should be like this, etc., etc. So using mental images or representations, design thinkers can understand an idea and think beyond the visible literal forms and color to achieve an understanding. So here, when I say visible literal form, it means the most obvious solution. So there are 4 steps of visual thinking. Very first is looking, then second is seeing, then third is imagining, and fourth one is showing. So what is the best part of visual thinking? Human beings do it all the time. So consciously or unconsciously or maybe subconsciously, we do it all the time. So happens unconsciously generally, helps us in doing work smoothly. Looking. So very first is looking. It's a passive kind of process, scanning the environment, initial big picture of things. So how do I find out that what I'll be getting out of looking? So, or how I can, give answers, or how I can, gather the things with the help of this tool. So we need to ask certain questions to ourselves. What is it? Means I'm talking about particular thing or process or solution. So let us go towards next tool, that is seeing. Seeing includes what? It is what? It is a kind of active process, trying to recognize patterns. So here you need to identify the things which are, can say, which have common features. Okay, as you can see over here in this figure that previously it was not like this. So previously it was like, just you need to observe the things. Here in looking, you need to observe the things. It is not like that you need to identify the patterns over here, but in seeing, you need to identify the patterns, and you need to ask some certain kinds of questions to yourself, that do I know what am I seeing? Have I seen this before? How many items are there, and do they belong to a group? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself, and you need to answer them, and accordingly you can find out certain patterns, you can recognize certain patterns. Then imagining. So manipulating what we saw, and trying to see what is not seen. So two things you can do. One is you can manipulate, means you can reframe what you have seen. Okay, as I discussed one example with you that of petrol pump and food chain. So you can just manipulate what you saw, or you can do one more thing, that you can try to see what is not seen by you. So again, it is a kind of manipulation only. So you need to again reframe, or maybe you can add your uh, accent, your thinking, your power of imagination to what you saw, and you can come out with a different kind of solution. What are the questions that you need to ask yourself? Where have I seen this before? Can I rearrange them? Can I discover a hidden pattern? And does it mean something else? So when you answer these questions, you can, you know, have better solution out of it. So this is what imagining is. Next is showing. So after looking, seeing, imagining, now the idea is in your head. Okay, so it is at very initial stage. So what you need to do is you need to you know uh, think rigorously on the different tools you have gone through, and then you need to represent the same in front of the stakeholders, or maybe in front of the colleagues, so that your idea can be validated. So conveying what we have seen to others, communicating our ideas and logic, put it down in writing. So this is what showing means. So here you can see that one person is representing something. So after doing this, you can have a better picture of your idea. So showing answers the following questions. So what are the questions you need to ask yourself, and come up with different answers according to the questions asked. How can I convey what I've seen to my audience? How do I share what I've seen? And will it be same as what I have seen? So once you give the answers to the questions, the idea will become more clear to you. Next is prototyping. So it means getting ideas and explorations out of your head and into the physical world. So it's a kind of iterative process. Initially, ideas are generated, then designed, then tested, and then improved. So iteration means what? At every stage, you make the idea more feasible, more viable, with the help of the feedbacks received from the different stakeholders. The cycle is repeated then until final product is developed. So you need to rethink again and again and again on your idea based upon the feedbacks uh, of the stakeholders, and you need to test your product and learn and improve the same so many times to reach to the final solution. It gives flexibility to accommodate changes. So obviously, once you know go through certain you can say improvisation, so again the product will be enhanced. So it is a kind of flexibility to accommodation. Versions are made based on the strength of the last one. So finally, when you have certain product in your hand, and when you improve it, ultimately you need to again rethink, and again certain improvisations you are going to apply on the product to increase the strength of the product. So the reference should be taken or what you have improved lastly. not always a physical model. It is not like that you need to have a model or an artifact all the time. It may be certain kind of theory also. It is not expensive, not require resources, so does not require any resources. Means some resources are there, but they are generally cheap. They are not expensive. Initially not involve actual material or process. So when you are there to represent the idea in front of some person or somebody, at that time it is not required to use the actual material or process. So you can just represent your idea with the help of whatever material is available to you. Rapid prototyping is a type of prototyping. So build the prototype with whatever material you have while discussing the ideas with team or client at an early stage. See, when I say whatever material, it means you need to first discuss that whether the material which you are going to use to make the model or an artifact should be used or not. Quickly show ideas to user to get the feedback. It is all about to have feedback. It means the faster you get the feedbacks, the faster you can have better versions of your product. Based on feedbacks and needs, rapidly refine, modify the prototype or model to get better results. So as we have already discussed that based upon the feedbacks received by the stakeholders, you can improve your product. And means it should happen rapidly, because it may take a longer period of time to reach to a final solution, and that is why speed is very much necessary in this process. So once you have a number of feedbacks available with you, it is very easy for you to improve your design and to reach to a final solution. Several things to be focused during prototyping. So you can say these are do's and don'ts of prototyping process. Be sure to hear from all the stakeholders, then schedule regular meetings to keep the project ongoing without breaks and avoid costly delays. Sometimes what happens, that time is money. So if you are delaying your project, then it will cost you more. Identify who is able to approve a prototype and allow the team to move to the next step. So obviously validation is very much a required process. So you need to find out, identify a person who can validate your product and can give you proper feedbacks, and depending upon that only you can go further. Look for improvements and don't see feedbacks as criticism. So when any negative feedback is received, you should not look at that negative feedback, but means you should not consider it as negative feedback, but you should consider that you need to improve this much in your journey while making the final product. Okay, so improvisation comes from negative feedbacks only. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or say foolish things. Brainstorm. Means while brainstorming, sometimes what happens that you generally consider certain ideas or thoughts as very foolish, but it should not be like that. You never know that what idea can make your final product. Okay, don't be afraid to change earlier decisions if new ideas deserve it. Sometimes what happens that we generally stick to an idea only, and we are not ready to move forward or change the idea. So that should not happen. If the change is required, or you can say the earlier decisions are not up to the mark, then you need to change them also. Don't get stuck to details, they may have to be changed later. So you might have gathered some information or maybe some stuff, so you should not stick to those details only, that stuff only, it may happen that in future you will change the same. Okay. And next one is validation. So it is what the process of gathering evidence around ideas through experimentation to make fast and de-risked decisions. So it's a process that starts from an idea and typically ends with a paying customer. So as we have already discussed in prototyping, what you need to do is you have to think rigorously on a particular solution, and then you need to can say make an artifact out of it, and then by redefining process you need to improve it until you'll get the final solution. But when I say final solution, what does it mean? It means that the ultimate product what you have made should be like that. Okay, so for which customers pay you. So that is the ultimate thing what we want at the end of the creating or developing any product. The purpose of idea validation is to expose the idea to the practicality of the real world before you build and release the final product of offering. So see, if you have not validated your product, then what will happen? It may fail, because see, you don't know how practical your solution is in the real world. So until and unless you float your material in market to validate the same, you can never know whether the product will work or not. Okay, so that is what the ultimate thing, that you need validation, and after getting validation only you can float your final product in the market. The right idea is meaningful, growing, and sustainable. See, it is not enough that you create certain kind of product and it is beneficial for the society, but it is not long lasting, or you can say reliable, durable, and sustainable. Means the solution may work for some duration, maybe 2, 3, 4 days, or maybe 1 month, but after that duration, if your product cannot survive, then again it will fail for sure. So validation has basic 3 elements. One is desirability of your product by its users, then feasibility of developing or producing your offerings through your resources. Third one is viability of the actions and decisions, which makes the entire system efficient and helps you survive. So these are the points we have already discussed. So this is a process, 4 steps for idea validation. So you need to define goals first, develop a hypothesis. When I say hypothesis, it's a kind of, you can say, idea that is suggested as the possible explanation for something, but has not yet been found to be true. Means you can consider certain kind of preconditionings. Okay, so you need to have certain kind of idea, hypothesis. So you have to develop a hypothesis, and based upon that you can work. Okay, so what are the most critical assumptions related to your idea? Every system has certain kind of assumptions, so you cannot means, of course we need to find out the solution keeping in mind the holistic view, but certain assumptions are to be made for sure. And then you need to experiment which methods are the most useful for testing your assumption, and how do you plan to execute the tests. These questions have to be answered, and for that you need to do certain experiments, and finally you can validate your product. So is your assumption valid? Proceed, or pivot. So sometimes what happens that we think that our solution is valid, but when you put the product in market, it may fail. It may fail. Like what we have discussed about, Tata Nano. So the car was of low cost, worth rupees 1 lakh or maybe 1,25,000. But then also, since the ethnography part was not done in better manner, Tata Nano failed badly. So validation is very much required. So whatever you have assumed is right or wrong cannot be, cannot be said. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you may have gained knowledge regarding design thinking process. Thank you.